Without someone handling the parts of the business that would tie me down to my desk, I would not be able to show up for clients and help them through some of the most pressing decisions that are made for their day to day operations as their businesses are growing.
Welcome to Impact Innovators with Felicia Ford, where we dive into the strategies that empower changemaker brands to leave a lasting legacy. Think of this podcast as your audio playbook for meaningful action. What's possible when thought leaders, disruptors, and pioneers align to share their journeys? I'm Felicia Ford, your host, bringing together the brightest minds and the most groundbreaking ideas to help you drive change, navigate through the sticky stuff, and elevate your brand. Whether you're tackling funding hurdles, looking for growth strategies, or seeking the perfect balance between profit and purpose, we've got you covered. Stay tuned and be a part of a movement that's setting new benchmarks in how we think about progress, community, and doing. Let's innovate, impact, and inspire.
If you're saying, I think it's time to hire, that is a signal. I see that as a flare that goes up both in celebration as well as a moment of pause, because it's something deeper is happening here. That means that you as a CEO are inching towards this next version of yourself, and it's an incredible time. And I like to sit in this moment with my own clients as well as others who maybe haven't hired yet. But too often, sometimes that desire to hire is also confused with being ready to lead. And while you're outsourcing people and you're not necessarily supervising them, it does require you to create space in your calendar. It requires you to create space in your mind and in your body and within yourself to show up as a different person. Some business owners, some leaders, some social entrepreneurs have grown up around business. Their dad ran a firm or they worked in corporate for years. They've seen the scaffolding behind the curtain, how to process, access to capital and talent. All of these things have come together. But if you're listening here, that may not be your usual path. It's not for most of the social entrepreneurs and nonprofit leaders that I know or that I've met. And most of them are building things from the ground up. Most of you are building things from the ground up. It's built on grit, it's built on community trust, and dare I say, trial by fire. That's why I pause when I hear one of you say, I'm ready to hire, because behind that moment is often, for me as a strategist, a real question of readiness. And it's not questioning and doubt. It's really, okay, let's go. Let's do this. Right. So you're obviously not wrong for wanting help. I talk about who can help your business grow in I believe it's episode 15. And then I also talk about readiness in a different way because it's so multi-layered. And so this is one of the earliest signs of growth, that you have decided within yourself and you say it out loud that I need to hire someone to help me with marketing, or I need to hire someone to redo my website, or I need to hire someone to take a look at my logo and let me know if it's still working. So readiness is a desire. It's also infrastructure. It's a way of building and creating capacity for what you say you want and for what your community is asking for. Because when you bring someone in, or if you bring someone in and you're still over functioning, if you're still holding everything up with just sheer willpower, then you're the bottleneck. And some of you know that. And so your thought might be like, okay, Felicia, well, how do I get out of this bottleneck space? And I promise I'll have something for you for that, right? So if you're the bottleneck, then it doesn't matter who you hire, because that same friction will show up, and it'll show up really quickly. And what you don't want is to find someone that's really incredible, that matches your budget, that matches your expectations, and then it doesn't work out. And you might think, oh, it was a failure, or the results weren't what I was expecting, or they did a horrible job. And I'm not pointing fingers here, but there's a responsibility on both parties to make sure that you're aligned. Even if your desire, again, your desire can be one thing, but your actual capacity can be another. And that person or company that you hire could also have the greatest of intentions and the greatest of results, but usually they are also going to be able to say, I see where you are. I hear what you're saying. And even though you have the funds to take care of this, you might want to consider X, Y, and Z, right? So let's talk about the 4 readiness shifts before you hire support. And let's talk about what readiness really looks like, because the truth is, most small businesses don't need to hire a full team that might exist in a Fortune 500 company. You can hire a fractional COO. You can hire a fractional CMO. You can hire a fractional CFO. You can bring in outside support. You can bring in me as the growth strategist. You can bring in a brand strategist or a brand consultant. You can bring in an operations business manager, an OBM, a VA, right? People like me, people that operate in my world. And what I am so excited to do and to be able to do is to show businesses that are located on main streets and in town centers and some even in shopping centers. This is not just an online business thing. This is what you need in this day and time to equip yourself and your team and your brand and your legacy and your business to compete with the market. You're not competing with Amazon in this way, in what I'm saying here. But what you do have access to are people who can translate this outside world, read what you're saying, understand your jargon, understand the jargon of these other worlds, and bring it to you and your brand, and then do what needs to be done to help you to grow. So let's talk about these 4 things. Whether you're hiring for strategy, you're hiring for structure, or you're hiring for implementation, the shift that I'm talking about, again, does not require you to manage someone full time. This is about you preparing your business to receive help from someone who is not inside your day to day world. So here are the 4 shifts. Number 1, from delegating out of responding to crisis to framing the right scope. So you might just say, I just need help. Well, what kind of help, my friend? What kind of help? Before you bring in a strategist, a brand team, or even a VA, you want to know what part of your business you're asking them to support you in. If you feel overwhelmed, then you need to take some things off of your plate first, because you're going to have time. You're going to have time to meet with this person and talk about things. And so you really want to know what part of your business do you need help with. And if you are not sure, many brands offer a consultation of some sort, either low cost or no cost. You can head to media.feliciafordandco.com, and on the work with us page or the services page, when you click apply or submit to work with us, that is your opportunity to sort through some things to say, okay, what might I need help with? And even if you decide, okay, Felicia, I don't think that I need your kind of help, then that's fine. But growth strategist, I can say that is one of the things that I help people gain clarity on, is what exactly do you need in your business? And some business coaches do the same thing. Now, I can't promise you that you're going to be able to go to others outside of this immediate realm to say, I need to figure out where I need to start. Okay. So, number 2, from wanting support to creating the conditions for that support to work. Do you have the bandwidth to review deliverables? Number, I guess, 2A. Number 2B would be, do you have standard operating procedures if you are hiring a virtual assistant and an operations business manager? And you may not. So if you don't have SOPs, then you could hire someone like me to help you sort out, well, where do I need SOPs? Or you could hire an OBM. Many of them do create those as well, right? Do you have answers to foundational questions that they might need to know? Where is this located? Who is the person that will handle this? What might this look like? What ideas do you have? What is the theme for the month? So many different questions. Those are things that you will need space to be able to answer, because support is a collaboration rather than a take this off my plate completely and I will be not involved at all. But when there's not a container, even the best support, even the best effort to support you can be a little disappointing, because you at least need to take the time. And it doesn't take a long time. I will say that it doesn't take a long time for you to sit down and say, okay, this is what I need. This is how this needs to look. And let me communicate that over. Number 3, from doing everything yourself to making strategic decisions and providing that direction. So you will eventually get to step back. But this particular season of your growth requires you to step up in a different type of way. The external support will require internal alignment. Now, one of the ways that I work as a growth strategist is very different than business coaching and even some other growth strategists. From my team and I, you get support through learning what these seasons look like and what this work can look like. I don't promise quick fixes. If you work with us, you get the work with me guide. It says we don't do rushed work. You are in most cases responding to crisis. I know I've said that already, but I have clients who are therapists. I have clients who are podcasters. They have deadlines. Therapists have clients. Therapists have clients who have situations that require urgent responses. And the last thing that I want to do, I have nonprofits who are clients that have group homes. I have clients that have agencies, mental health agencies that serve clients. So your work by nature includes some level of frenzy and urgency. We move with excellence, but my job is to help eliminate and alleviate some things, right? So, this alignment that is required between who you are, how you move, your pace of moving, the type of language that you speak, all of that is what I like to call internal alignment that needs to be there. And that person who you hire or that company that you hire needs to be able to know the message. They need to know your audience. They need to understand what services you offer, what your customer journey looks like, or be ready to work that through with you, or you be ready to work that through with someone like me, right? But you don't want to stay in this reactive cycle, but expect to be able to move forward. Again, I know with change makers, coaches, consultants, those who are in these spaces, and even I have a business that I really want to work with really soon, and I won't say who they are, of course, but I see how they operate, and I already know they are busy from the time the door opens until the time the door closes at night when the last customer or the last guest leaves their space. There's a lot going on. So, number 4, from expecting immediate relief to investing before, and this is one of my words, momentum builds, right? Because here's the truth: hiring a strategist, hiring an OBM, or a marketing agency, it costs before it pays off. If you're hiring even a PR person or PR agency, it's not, and I'm not talking financial costs in this case, but I'm talking bandwidth for your team, for your existing team, for yourself. And so you're going to be making decisions that you may have been avoiding, and you may shift some roles that you've been carrying. And I want to say to you, my friend, that is normal, but it needs structure. Okay. It's not a like, oh, it's good vibes. No, it can be, there's work that comes here. And if you've never walked through these seasons before, and I'm going to tell you something, you already have. All of my clients have been in business at least 4 years. Some have been in business. There's one that's been in business over 20 years. And so you've lived different versions of your life. You've been different versions of yourself. And so if you want to be able to explore this next version of yourself, but have someone guide that process for you, this is what you want to do. Okay. Let me give you two real world moments before I hop off with you today. I'm going to say Michael was ready. Michael was on episode 25 of my podcast. I'm on his board for Higher Rise Foundation. And a few months ago, I saw something come through and I was like, hey, I think this would be a great fit. Long and the short of it, I pitched Michael to a journalist and we got the story together. We did the process. And yesterday, maybe, yeah, this week, I received feedback from the journalist, Jennifer Johnson with Nonprofit Quarterly, shared the piece. It is a beautiful piece, it is an incredible piece. I am not just saying that because of my friend Michael. I love when nonprofits and nonprofit leaders are highlighted and people get to see the behind the scenes, the thought processes, the philosophy behind someone's leadership. And that's exactly what this did, right? But why this works in this example is because Michael had the capacity, number one, to talk with me about how I was going to pitch him, right? He was interviewed. He's got press. This is his first national press piece for the nonprofit. And it's incredible. Okay. And not only that, because they're having a benefit concert this weekend. And so it's perfect timing. And he will be heading back to Ghana next month. So this was just perfect, right? I sent the email to my email list to say, hey, let's celebrate Michael. This is an incredible movement. This is an incredible moment for our community. And I just want you to be able to celebrate him. Please tell him congratulations. Or if you have something that you've got going on and you're thinking about moving into this space and place of PR, let's look at what that might look like. And there were a few responses, but what it told me was that lots of you have these ideas circulating around how you want to help your work get positioned. And so I thought about it and I said, well, let's talk about what it means to be ready for that type of attention. Let's talk about what it means to be ready to position your brand, either personally or the business brand, for that type of moment. I've pitched before and I've unfortunately seen some folks not be ready. They thought they were, but they weren't ready for what happens when press comes. So for some of my clients, this is where faith gets activated because again, you're walking into a season where you're experiencing something that you can't fully see yet. And that leap, it's financial, it's emotional, it's spiritual, and it can feel like a jolt, but it does not have to be chaos. That's where structure comes in. That's where support comes in. That's where working with someone like me comes in. And my job as a strategist, I would not ever consider removing the parts of this that are required for you, to learn this and to feel this. But it definitely is my job to make sure that you have a landing space, right? I can't remove your leap, but I can provide you a landing space. So if you're in that space, you're thinking about hiring, you're thinking about outsourcing, you're not really sure or ready, pause and ask yourself a couple of questions. Do I have the structure to receive what I'm asking for? Do I have the space to lead someone else without over functioning or without them wondering, when are they going to get back to me? So if that question is sticking with you, I've built something for this moment. I invite you to be with me on June 24th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I am hosting a fireside chat. We are going to be discussing topics surrounding the last few episodes, specifically Built to Move, episodes 66, 67, and 68, as well as power moves in this season of readiness and getting prepared. Let's get ready. Let's get ready. So I again invite you to come on over to FeliciaFordandCo.com or media.FeliciaFordandCo.com, and we will have space for you to connect with me on June 24th for a complimentary fireside chat where we're talking about readiness and answering questions. You bringing your questions, you bringing your statements, gathering together with another group of incredible changemakers from across the nation. I can't wait to see you there. Hey, Changemaker, real quick before you go, if today's episode helped you in some way, the best way to thank me is to head over to Apple Podcasts, subscribe to the channel, and leave a review. I'd also love to connect with you over on social. You can find me at Friends Call Me Fee. Until next time, keep changing the game.